Hey guys, Sabri Subi here, and welcome to this module of quantum growth called the Godfather Strategy. And this is the single most powerful, most effective, and most profit-generating strategy that I have ever discovered. This is one of the secrets that I've been reluctant to reveal because it's unquestionably the biggest secret that I have uncovered over the last 17 years in the trenches of sales and marketing. And this secret is so powerful that it instantly doubles, triples, or even quadruples the profit of almost any sales message selling any product or service in any market. And it can make the weakest and most unprofitable traffic sources that you've just struggled to get working, and then turn those into your own little personal honeypot of the most ravenous and itchy to buy customers available. And it's really my secret weapon. And it's allowed me to invade and conquer multiple industries in multiple different markets with multiple different businesses and crush much more established competitors into a fine powder that just scatters in the wind. So before we get stuck straight into the specifics of exactly what the Godfather Strategy is, let's have a look at what we'll be covering in today's module. So we'll be going over the Godfather Strategy. We'll be going over the 7 parts of what make up like the framework for a Godfather offer, then pre-framing and obliterating objections, and a market slaughtering power guarantee as well. So first of all, the Godfather Strategy, right? And that is all around making your prospects an offer that they can't refuse. An offer really consists of 2 things, and that is what your prospect wants when they respond to your marketing and what they have to do in order to get that thing. And it's where 99% of businesses really get it wrong, because they generate leads, or if they've got their head screwed on right, they offer a free report, and then they're surprised, right, when people don't show up at the door with a credit card or just whip out their wallet and buy straight away. And that's because they're not motivating their prospects with an irresistible offer. Less than 1% of the businesses that I have ever consulted with, and I've consulted with thousands, ever have this right before, I really work with them and look at their business. And they don't have any resemblance of an irresistible offer. Instead, they are using resistible offers. And then they wonder why their business is stuck and they can't get paid advertising to work. And it's literally, they're just walking around with an offer that everybody can resist. And the Godfather Strategy is the polar opposite. It's about making an irresistible offer with balls, right? It's about making some huge claims and some big promises. And it's about having an offer so white hot that it melts objections and obliterates any friction between you and the sale, and almost forces your prospects to buy because you're just stacking it in a way where it's so irresistible. Now, sadly, what I see all the time is that most business owners start in a position of incredible weakness, and their promises are weak, and they're watered down, and they're vanilla, and they have no resemblance at all of what a compelling offer looks like. Instead, they have an impotent offer that looks something like this, right? It's like, use our service and you might see some sort of vague benefit sometime in the distant future, right? Or download this free report and we'll tell you how great it is to have our products and services. These are just horrible. They're weak and they're frail, and they're simply not good enough to withstand the competitive gale force winds that rage through the online marketplace, right? It just is not going to cut the mustard, so to speak. Now, here is how you create a hair-raising offer that stops your prospects in their tracks and demands their attention and practically forces them to buy. So, if you don't have a drink or a tea with you or a cup of coffee, go grab one of those, get comfortable, because unless your offers are already radically different from the tens of thousands of businesses that I've seen, we're about to add big bucks to your bottom line with this module. This thing is the real deal. So really, when I think about the Godfather strategy, and if I had to kind of summarize it down to just one strategy or one key component that makes it up, it's really to sell what people want to buy, right? It's as simple as that. And that might sound elementary, but you wouldn't believe how many supposedly smart, university-educated people in business don't understand this. They start by looking at what they would like to buy and not what their market wants, what is irresistible to their market, right? They swim against the raging river, that is the desires of their marketplace, and they begin with their own interests in mind. They ask, what would I like to sell, or what is convenient for me to sell, or what do I think would be a cool gizmo or service, right? And that is completely the wrong place to start. They don't ask, what is my market absolutely starving for? What are they willing to crawl on their knees across like crushed glass in order to get their hands on, right? What would be an offer so good that would take someone that is like, on their couch, lethargic in the middle of winter in a snowstorm outside while they're watching their best and most favorite television show on Netflix? What would get them to stop that and get up out of their couch, go outside and walk 5 kilometers in the blistering cold snow in order to get this? And that's really the point and the position that you want to start from. And that really comes down to this concept, and that concept is about finding the bullseye. Finding the absolute perfect bullseye that will set your prospects on fire, that will absolutely get that person and your dream buyer to take out their credit card and take action irrationally, emotionally, and rapidly, right? There is a bullseye in every market, and it doesn't matter if you shoot it with a sniper rifle or a rubber mallet, right? If you hit this thing, the response will be beyond your wildest dreams, because there is that bullseye. And look, basically knowing this and having the ability to find the bullseye, it has allowed me to wipe the fucking floor with some of the best copywriters in the world and dwarf their numbers, because I know how to hit the bullseye. I've gone up against many top copywriters from some of the best direct response marketing companies in the world, right? And have beat the pants off these guys, because my ability to find the bullseye in any market and shoot a laser beam right through it and shatter that target into thousands of pieces is what has allowed me to do that. And once you've done your research using the Halo strategy and have discovered what people really want in your market, then you need to sell it to them, right? So keep in mind that sometimes you can have the right crowd at the wrong time. You could be offering the best hamburgers in the world, but if you're trying to sell those hamburgers to a crowd that has just finished like a 7-course degustation meal at a beautiful restaurant, then you're not going to have many customers, right? So if through this process that you uncover that what it is that you are selling isn't indeed what your market is starving for, then do not try and put lipstick on a pig, right? That is, do not try and dress up what you're selling as being what it is that they want and then try to fool your marketplace or even fool yourself, right? Don't try and reason with or convince yourself that what you're selling is good enough. Like, yeah, it's good enough. I've managed to sell a few. That's not what is going to get you absolute breakthrough results, right? Good enough is not going to cut it. Simply do what's required in order to pivot your business to align with what your market desires most. Fire employees, get rid of departments, sell the remainder of stock that you've got sitting in a warehouse. Whatever it is, do it. Do not flog a dead horse, so to speak, right? This is absolutely crucial. It does not matter about all the other stuff that I'm telling you if you're just selling something that your market doesn't work. There's no amount of copy that's ever going to change that, right? You really need to understand this key crucial component here. This is really something that I cannot stress the importance of enough. And, master level business builders, they start with the bullseye of a market, and then they work backwards from that point to create or to engineer a product or service that hits the bullseye dead in the center, right? And the thing is that you might be thinking like it's really inconvenient for me to do that, or it's going to cost me a lot of money. What I can tell you is that enduring the short-term hardship, loss, or discomfort of actually addressing this and making sure that you are selling something that your market is starving for will save you a lot of pain and, lost profits in the long term, right? And you really want to take some of that short-term hardship in order to avoid that long-term extreme just pain that's going to be dragged out, right? So most business owners and entrepreneurs spend tens of thousands of dollars developing a product or service before they've done a deep dive into the market research to put together their offer or their sales message. Then, right, once they've done that, then they try and mold their sales pitch to fit what product or service can actually do, right? So they're like, deliver this, they create this product, and then they write their sales letter or their webinar or whatever it is, right? The selling mechanism that's going to be selling it. And they try to mold that product or service like into the sales message about what it can actually do, right? Removing this claim or this promise or that benefit because it doesn't do that. And ultimately they castrate their sales message from the get-go because they've gone about it in the wrong way. And the right way to approach it is to write your sales message before ever creating the product or service, right? Make the biggest claims, give the market what they are starving for, create the dream come true experience for that market, and then, and only then, start to develop the product or service to deliver on all those claims and promises and that dream come true experience for your dream prospect, right? So moving on. Once you know what your market is starving for, then you take your product or service and you craft it into a compelling sales pitch, an offer that they simply can't refuse. And here's how you do it, right? So you take all the data that we collected from the Halo strategy, and then you create what is called a detail sheet, right? That basically has the features and the benefits. Again, I'm referring to that Halo strategy worksheet because, as I said, that is the raw materials. That is everything. Everything that we do is always centered around the prospect and around the customer and client, okay? So what we do is we create a detail sheet about the products or services that you want to sell. And on this sheet, you'll have two columns. Column one should be titled features. And this is where you list all the different full list of features of what you're selling. Like make it really, really extensive. And I've created just a basic one of these detail sheets for you, which you can find a link to in the resources section, right? Then the second column will be titled benefits. And this is a column where you convert all the features into corresponding benefits, right? And don't discount the importance of this, right? You might be like, I know about like features and benefits, Sabri, like why are we doing this, right? I know it sounds simple, but while this might sound very simple, if you do this exercise correctly and you document it and you do a really good job on your research, your offers will almost write themselves because we're just giving the market exactly what they want and the benefits that they're seeking. But another disclaimer for this is like, when I'm mentioning these things, you might be thinking like this is elementary or I've done something that resembles this in the past. Like, please, please, please ensure that you take a lot of time when you do this. Really sweat over it. Like most amateur marketers and rookie copywriters, they don't do this step at all. Right? And even most of the top copywriters, they don't labor over this stuff nearly long enough. And if you really look at the absolute killer marketers, killer copywriters, these people say the difference is really in the research. And that's really what we're doing right now is where we've done the research and now we're really getting clear on what we're going to do with that research. So like do this stuff, right? Do not question me, do it. I promise you the benefits that you get from this will really, really be profound. Now, you should really list every single feature about what it is that you're selling that you can possibly think of. Like just go nuts, like just let it all pour out of you. And then once you finish this step and your detail sheet is as comprehensive as you can make it, we are now ready to part two, which is basically to write the benefit list, right? So then what you do is essentially is you go over the detail sheet and you translate each feature into a corresponding benefit wherever possible. So first, let's get clear on the difference of a feature and a benefit if you're not 100% clear on this. A feature is simply a detail or a specification of what it is that you're selling, like the fact that like a mattress is made from latex or that it comes with a cotton sleeve, okay? And a benefit of what your product will do for the buyer, basically, right? It's like, how does that translate into the actual benefit that they will receive from that feature? So let's say that your mattress bed is made from like a high-grade, natural, certified latex. Most people, they just focus on that. Like, people really care. They really care that it's made from a high-grade, natural, certified latex. Like, they don't care about that, right? That's a feature. The fact of that would translate to benefits including that it molds to your body for the perfect comfort, and it absorbs the movements of a fidgety partner, and it makes for a more undisturbed sleep. So you can be well rested and, have a lot of energy and have vitality in your life and zest, right? They're the benefits. But there could even be more benefit, right? Thanks to like the high-grade natural certified latex, you will sleep more soundly, awaken refreshed, perform better during the day at work, get that promotion that you wanted, make more money, and move into a bigger house in a nicer neighborhood, right? We're stretching it a little bit there, but you can start to say, okay, I get it. Like it's about what is the benefit that it's going to deliver to the end user. And like all of that stuff, like we can run through some examples now, like staying on the mattress side of things, that show you how like these facts and features translate into benefits. So the feature, as I said, high grade certified latex. Reduces shoulder and hip pressure. Good ventilation. Allows for better blood circulation. Provides pressure relief. And these are simple things, but like think about what is so much more compelling to the end user, right? High grade natural certified latex, or for someone that's got like an ailment and a really bad hip pressure and pain, just to reduce that, right? Or 100% organic bamboo cotton sheets. And the benefits associated with that is it's durable and long lasting. It will save you money. You're not going to need to replace it, every 12 months, made from breathable materials, so it keeps you cool in the summer and warm in the winter, okay? So this is the way that you want to think about it for the service that you're selling, and really break it down and think about and labor over it. Don't just try to just rush through this and get it done. That's not, if you spend time laboring over this stuff like you did with the research, then all the offers and everything that we're going to be going through later in this program about funnels and Facebook ads and all these super advanced ninja tactics I'm going to be teaching you, you're going to just have the raw materials that you just put in there, but you're not going to have it if you don't do the work now. And then you're going to get to that and you're going to be like, oh, what do I do? And then you're going to have to revisit it. So just listen to what I'm saying. Go ahead and do this. You're going to see what a profound impact that it's going to have. And then for another one, you, for instance, might be a mortgage broker, pay off your mortgage in 5 years. And that's kind of like the feature of what our service allows them to do. But the benefits of that is you live debt-free, stress-free. You worry less about money and relax. You enjoy your time with your family, and you live your life free from money worries. You can sleep sound at night, you could say. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to be thinking about, so then say, for instance, if you have something like live your life free from money worries. And then you might be writing copy and you could be like, you could not have to worry about money when you're at your son's soccer game on a Saturday morning, and you can be fully present with your children on the weekend. And can you imagine what a weight off your chest that would be? Do you see how you can start to use this stuff and intertwine it into your sales copy to make it very emotive, right? Or you might be like in the legal profession, and you might have like a will writing service where you write people's wills for them, and the feature or the kind of just blanket offer might be get a will in 14 days for $500, right? That's very clear what you're going to get, but what are the benefits from that? Sleep sound at night knowing your affairs are in order. Protect everything that you've worked hard for. Avoid emotional and legal hardship, right? So if you do this and you process it properly and you really go through it and like process all of those features into benefits, you should have like several pages of features and corresponding benefits and really, really know exactly what it is that your market wants. And it really comes down to like just making, an offer with balls, like this squirrel that you can see with huge balls. What we see all the time is that most businesses don't do that, and that they start in a position of like weakness, and their promises and their offers are really weak. And it's just all super, super vague, and it doesn't really help us, right? Like it's just like, download this free report and we'll show you how great it is to have a financial planner. Use our services. We're really, really great. We've been in business for 17 years. No one gives a shit about any of that stuff, I can tell you now. And if you want to really get breakthrough results, you have to put in a breakthrough effort, right? You've got to work. You've got to do the things that others aren't prepared to do, or they're just not willing to do, if you want to get the results that other people think are impossible, right? You want to get people looking at you thinking, how the hell has this person come in here in just a matter of a couple of years or in 12 months and just taken over this market? How have they done that, right? And the reason why you do get those breakthrough results is because you've put a breakthrough effort in, and you've done the things that all the people that aren't getting those results aren't prepared or willing to do. So there is no silver bullets. There's only lead bullets, right? I'm going to show you the path that you need to walk down. But when I stop and I say, like, you need to do this, you need to spend a lot of time on this, spend a week on this, do it, right? Because that's the way that you just get absolute offers that just strike like lightning and just tear everyone in that market to pieces. And it's because you did the work. There isn't just because you got lucky. You did the work and you got the result, right? And when you look at those things about like download a free report or do business with us, we've been in 17 years, right? Those are all offers that don't appeal to people, right? As they're just not enticing, they're boring, and you can't bore people into buying. So here is how to go about it the right way. Firstly, forget about your lawyer, forget about your industry regulations that you operate in for now, right? Just for now. And think about, what would be the promise or the offer that you would make if you had a magic wand and there were absolutely no rules, no regulations, and no limits to what it is that you could do? Like, make this thing outrageous. Like, really go crazy on it when you start. And, you think about what would be the very best end result that you could promise in the absolute shortest amount of time possible. Even if it's not your whole service, but you're just splintering off some of your service, that would give your prospects some very quick results, like that instant hit that they want, right? And get creative with it. I want you to come up with the most powerful and outrageous offer that you can, and then I want you to reduce it down to writing, right? And it should be no more than a few lines. I'm not talking about like a page. It's not a sales letter, right? This is an offer. So no one is going to see this piece of paper or this document in the beginning, right? It's just you. So don't worry about how crazy and outlandish this thing is, right? And this gives you an opportunity just to go over the top and to go too far with your offer. That's what you want to do. You want to push it too far, where it's just too outrageous, rather than the opposite of what everybody does, and they have a weak and watered down offer, and then it doesn't start to work. They start to kind of just add stuff to it. And that's just like, it's a horrible, horrible way, right? So then you want to put it down on paper and start by putting it back to something that you can actually back up and deliver on. So you start with it really, really crazy. And then we start to kind of go, okay, I couldn't say that. Like, that's going to get me sued back into the Stone Age. So I need to remove that from the offer, or I can't deliver on that. Let me pull that one back. Right? And then you want to make it something that you could actually deliver on and that won't get you sued for like false claims, right? Now, obviously, you have to offer only what you can deliver on. Otherwise, that promise is going to backfire and cause you all types of headaches and problems for you further down the line. So you do not want to do that. But you do really want to start really, really big, put it down on paper, and then dial it back to something that is still extremely irresistible and that you're still confident that you can deliver on. right? And irresistible offers are detailed and they are specific. So let me explain what I mean by that. So let's just say that we're selling mattresses online, and let's look at like a lackluster offer that I found just by doing a quick Google search. And generally when you're online and you're searching for things, it's very, very rare to have people that have great offers, right? Which is why it's no surprise that so many businesses fail, right? They just think that they're failing. They wonder why, right? And the biggest reason that they fail is because they cannot ring the cash register, in high enough volumes with fat enough margins to sustain their business, i.e. they can't advertise and make the numbers make sense where they're making money over and above what it costs them to advertise and acquire a customer. And the fundamental reason that is because their offers are weak. And not enough people, when they advertise to 100 or 1,000 or 100,000 people, are taking them up on that offer where they're making enough money to make that mathematical equation stack up, right? So I went on a little bit of a tangent there, but this is what you can see up on screen. So buy your mattress online. Fast and free delivery. Oz made with free delivery. Buy your mattress online today for better quality, factory direct, locally owned and operated, various payment options, types, headboards, assemble bases, bed frames, and mattresses, right? So basically this thing, it's crap, right? Essentially, if you boil it down, it's buy an Australian made mattress online with free and fast delivery, right? And it's just incredibly ordinary, vanilla offer. However, at least to give them some credit that they have some resemblance of an offer, right? There is free delivery in there and yada, yada, yada. But let's compare this vague, watered down offer to a winning offer, all right? So take Casper Mattress, right? They're a mattress in a box startup, and this is their offer. Get America's best reviewed mattress delivered to your door for free with a 100-night trial. This is an irresistible offer that has helped Casper shake up a stale $29 billion mattress industry and take them from $0 as a very small startup, to over $600 million in sales in their first 4 years of business. That's the power of an irresistible offer, right? There's specificity in it. There's risk reversal, and you're going out into a marketplace with a really, really strong and compelling Godfather offer. And if you're in a market for a high quality mattress, then this offer is something that would get your attention. It would get you to sit up in your chair. It will, raise the hairs on the back of your neck for a moment, and it will demand your attention, right? Because it's a killer offer, and it just cuts through all the noise and all the static in a marketplace and just cuts right through to the center of what it is that people want, right? They want a really popular and really good mattress delivered to their door for free, and then you want to reverse all the risk for the end user and say, if it isn't the best mattress you've ever had, just return it in 100 nights for free. That is an irresistible offer. So how did this work for them? Well, just aside from the $600 million, in revenue, did people pay attention? Well, they certainly did. Their mattresses have over 45,000 reviews at the time of putting together this video, with almost 30,000 of them being 5 stars, right? They're crushing it. Here is another example. Let's say we're a home building company, and again, I've done a quick Google search to see what kind of offers people are running out there in the marketplace, what kind of home builders, what they're offering. Here's one. Home Builders Melbourne, explore our latest designs. Designing luxury homes from a range of elegant designs. Inquire now. Visit a display centre, house and land packages, find your dream home. 2016 multi-award winner. Type single story, double story, ready built, display homes, home designs, knockdown, rebuild, display homes, where we build. Right? So essentially they're basically saying, designing luxury homes for a range of elegant designs. Again, this is just so vague and very vanilla, and it's just going to be completely ignored in a sea of other lame and impotent offers that provoke zero action, right? So let's look at something that would be a killer offer in this space. We build your new home in just 30 weeks or give you $5,000 in cash, right? And that's an offer that we came up with for a client. And we found that like the big pain point of building a home with like a boutique builder and a boutique luxury builder was that like builders keep on dragging out the projects and missing deadlines. And when we did the Halo strategy, we found that was just like a huge reoccurring theme, is that like, you know, they wanted to get something that was boutique and wasn't like a mass market builder, but there was a lot of fear around like their house taking way more time than it should do. And when they'd already like lended the money from the bank and then they were starting to make repayments and then it drags out, it just becomes this horrendous experience. So we thought about like, how do we address that then? And so we created this offer and had it in front and center of all the marketing that we were doing for the client. And how did it go? Well, let me tell you how it went, right? This offer took this client from $0, like never receiving a deposit on a new home build, to over $7 million in revenue in their first 8 months, right? And that's just like the power of having a really good offer. It's just like you are able to convert people a lot more easier and just make all your marketing way more profitable. Now, let's look at another one. Let's look at something a little bit closer to home, okay? So I did a quick search for SEO agencies and saw this company, who I won't name and shame or do all of that kind of stuff, but this is their offer, right? Best SEO management, digital marketing experts, 100% results focused, no lock-in contract, best local SEO management company, managed SEO services, leading SEO agency, award-winning agency, expert SEO advice. That is just riveting. It absolutely gets me stood up in my chair or pepped up, ready to go. I am joking, right? Basically what they're saying is best SEO management and digital marketing experts, right? Once again, this company is suffering from a generic offer, and like, you know, it's just, there isn't any even offer in there. I can't even call it an offer, right? It's more of just a statement with no specificity, no risk reversal or timeframes or nothing, right? This is going to be hard to awaken your prospects from their sleepy state and shoot that electric shock through their body and provoke them to actually take action, right? Let alone just to click on your ad to begin with, right? Now let's take a look at what a winning offer in this space looks like. Guaranteed Google rankings in 90 days or we work for free. Whew. Now that is an offer. It's bold, it's specific, it has risk reversal in it. And, you know, obviously if we couldn't deliver on that, then we would be going out of business pretty quickly, right? This is the offer that, you know, I formulated in our business, and this offer has helped us invade and conquer an industry that is hyper competitive. The waters are bloody from fierce competition in our space, and has taken King Kong from just me in my bedroom, right, to growing the #1 fastest digital agency in Australia multiple years in a row, and being awarded the 28th fastest growing company in Australia across all industries, right, by the Australian Financial Review. And we did this with no venture capital, you know, no partners, no rich uncles or any of that kind of stuff. And that's the power of a potent offer. That's the potency that this offer can have when you go out into a marketplace and just really just crush the competition. And your offer must be something that is new, unique, exciting, easy, predictable, and huge, right? It must be something that nobody has ever seen or heard before. Instead, most people sell things that are old, dull, and boring, and something that everybody has seen many times before. And, you know, since we launched that offer, we've obviously had so many copycats come and copy that and blah, 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 blah. But your offer must be new, unique, exciting, easy, predictable, and huge, right? Otherwise, it's just not gonna fly. Now, the reason why that is because it is the offer that you are making that is the tip of the spear of your marketing message. You see, a strong offer will succeed in spite of weak copy, but but strong copy will not overcome a weak offer. So we can write like really strong emotional copy with a killer headline and intriguing bullets and craft a really great guarantee. However, if you won't be flexible in creating an irresistible offer for your market, then none of that stuff even matters, right? Because all of that stuff is not going to trump having a killer Godfather irresistible offer. It's just not going to happen. And a strong offer is not solely based on price. Like usually when I talk about this concept to business owners, they're like, well, we're a really expensive service, right? Like having an offer based just on the lowest price can easily be copied. So that's not what we're talking about, right? Because it's just really easy for a competitor to go out there and copy just a price, right? And whoever wins that race to the bottom, like they're the ones that usually lose in any case. So it's actually usually the opposite. Like most of our clients, are the most expensive options in their market, as having a potent offer will allow you to command higher fees because you can go out there and convert so many more people, right? And you have to convert fewer people in order to make the numbers stack up. And having the following is not an irresistible offer, right? Having great service is not an irresistible offer, or outstanding quality, or being innovative, or even having a great team, or being responsive to your customers' needs, or having a great reputation. That is not an offer, right? That is features to what it is that your business provides. And I have a saying, and that is, if the offer and guarantee do not keep the founder up at night, then they are not strong enough, right? When I came up with that guarantee for King Kong and I was selling out of my bedroom, that thing would keep me up at night. What happens if I have to return these people's money? What happens if I'm not making any money and then all of a sudden, like, how am I going to survive, right? So it must be strong. It must make you feel a little bit queasy. That's how you know that you're onto something that is really, really good, right? Because one thing that I can tell you from spending tens and tens of millions of dollars is that the best laser targeted traffic cannot save a typical ordinary good enough offer, right? It's just not going to work. It's not going to cut it. Like, it doesn't matter how ninja your media buyer is or how good your Facebook ads are, they're all centered and they all congregate around the offer, and it needs to be killer, right? And a good thing to remember is, and to really take note of, is that a compelling offer is infinitely more powerful than a convincing argument. Because if you're on the phone with somebody and you're trying to convince them of the value of what it is that you do, or why you are so good, or how this service that you're providing to them can really help them, you're basically forming a convincing argument of why they should part with their hard-earned money, right? And you're like dragging them, kind of kicking and screaming to take you up on your offer. Where the opposite of that is you have a compelling offer that is magnetic and it sucks people towards it because they want it, right? And the idea of a compelling offer is really to remove all the friction for a prospect to buy from you. Right? You want to reverse the risk and burden that as a business. So you want to take all the risk that's present in that transaction and make it an absolute no-brainer for them to take you up on your offer. This is really what we're talking about here, right? Making it as seamless, as easy for people to buy off you, and to make it as much as a no-brainer because the offer is so compelling. And here's a quote from Claude Hopkins to even cement that, is you want to make your offer so great that only a lunatic would refuse to buy. Right? And that's a quote that I love, and it's really what you want to think about when you're looking at your offer. Like, is this such a good offer that you would have to literally be completely mad not to take me up on this offer? And if the answer is yes, then you've got a Godfather offer, because the offer is paramount. And hopefully you get it by now. I'm not going to stress it enough, but this is something that it's like, I typically have to pound people's head against the wall till they get this stuff, because they don't understand the importance of it. And they think that everything else will overcome the fact that their offer isn't really killer, right? So the offer is paramount. So we know that it's paramount now. Let me break you down through the 7-part Godfather offer framework. And this is where we really look at the 7 constituent parts that your offer must include in order for it to be a Godfather offer. And the first one that you need is rationale, right? So compelling offers begin with a clear and credible explanation of why you're making such an outrageously generous offer. So perhaps for you, it might be like a special introductory offer, and you're so confident that once the prospect experiences the truly amazing benefits of your product or your service, then they'll be a raving fan of your company and they'll be a customer for life. That's why you're offering it at such a crazy price. Or maybe you have a more efficient business model than your competitors, and this allows you to pass the savings on to your customer, exposing like a hoax or a con, or positioning yourself as like a concerned advocate for that market, and really casting stones at a shared enemy and becoming your new customer, their greatest champion for your customer, right? And it might be you're going up against the banks, or you're showing like you have a more efficient model for manufacturing something or delivering a service where you can cut the middleman out and strip away all the bloat and pass those savings on to the end user. That's rationale. You're providing rationale to the outrageous offer that you're making this person, and you're providing proof that there is a reason, there is a rationale behind the reasoning for this amazing and truly spectacular and almost unbelievable offer that you're making to them. Right? And then once you've got that, you want to put it up in lights and make it abundantly clear to ensure that your offer is believable, right? You can't just be like, this used to be 50 grand and now it's 10 grand. Like, okay, well, why did it used to be 50 grand? Who have you sold it to? What are the parts that add to it to make up to it being $50,000? So there needs to be some believability to it. And the way that you do that is by having some rationale. Now, the next part is building value. So you want to build the value of your offer based on the usual everyday price that it can be, like what you would normally charge for this, or even what your competitors are charging for this, right? And it's important to establish that your regular price and really like kind of concrete it in there and make that seem like really good value, like just the everyday price, like what your competitors are doing. You want to build the value to that price point to make your regular price really believable, that you got the specifics in there and you got all the detail, and they're all really crucial elements so you can prove that, right? And then you want to tell your prospects where your product has been offered or sold, or your service, at that full price, or even how many thousands of people have paid that full price for your service before. And the key with this one is to show, don't tell. So wherever it's possible, it's very important to include screenshots of other websites and catalogs and just undeniable proof, because it makes like it even more believable to that everyday skeptic, because everybody is skeptical, right? And we really need to prove to them that this is indeed true. We're not just saying that's the price, right? And you're not building like this superficial value or hype, which is what everybody does. So we want to be different to what everybody does is, and we want to literally show them screenshots and all that kind of graphs and anything that we can that supports our argument. We want to show, we don't want to tell, because it's easy to tell, and when you show, it shows real depth and proof to the claims that you're making. Then once you've basically like illustrated in great detail why even at the full price that your product or service is an incredible deal, then you show how your product or service is just a mere pittance to what they will make or save even at the regular price. And then after you do that, then you reveal your discount in a way that really is dramatic, and it illustrates your role as your prospect's advocate and their champion, and just really just tell them what an incredible deal that they're getting. And you want to quantify the monetary benefits that that product or service will deliver and compare it to the almost insignificant price that you're asking for in return in order for them to get that benefit. And then what you want to do is reduce it down to the ridiculous. Breaking the price down into like a daily or a weekly figure, or compare it to something like that's really trivial, like that they spend more on, their parking than they do on this service, or a cup of coffee, or a protein shake, or, that it's just $1.33 per day, or per week, or per month, or, it's cheaper than a cup of coffee per day, and you get these huge, amazing, monstrous benefits, okay? Because people buy things that make them feel better about themselves, right? And that's, in the words of David Ogilvy, one of the advertising greats. And that's something that you really need to be thinking about, is that like they go out and they buy things that just make them feel better about themselves. Now, the next point and the third pillar is really pricing. Now, when it comes to pricing, I've found that it's best to have 3 options that you can present to your prospects, right? Being an entry-level price without the bells and whistles. And this should be like the price that you're actually happy with, that you actually want to get, right? And that's just the very bare bones entry level. And then you want to have a mid-price point. And this is the one that you present as the best fit and gives you a nice bump in profitability, right? It just gives you that little bit of a bump. And then 3 is like the deluxe version. And this has all the bells and whistles and the delivery of the benefits to your prospects, in the quickest time possible. For those people that have an urgent problem and they need quick results, they need it really, really quick, that's the deluxe version, right? Now, at this point, you might be thinking like, where does my Godfather offer fit into all of this, right? Is it all on a landing page, or what's happening on, right? And I'll explain like the exact sequencing and everything later in the program. But for now, just know this, right? If you're selling high ticket services, like i.e. anything more than like $2 or $3 grand per month, this generally requires you to get on the phone and convert a prospect into a paying client. Like it's not going to be an e-commerce transaction, right? This is done over the telephone. So the game is all about generating as many high quality leads as possible. Therefore, your first Godfather offer will be a free consultation, because that's what we want people to do. That's the first offer that we're making to them, right? Is that consultation. But you still do need to attach like a dollar amount to that consultation, and you still need to sell hard to get people to take you up on your offer, even though it's free, right? You can't just slap free on it and just think like your calendar's going to be bursting at the seams with people wanting to speak to you. Your offer should be specific. So you can't just slap that free consultation and then just think that everyone's coming. No. It needs to be like, it's a 30, 45, 60-minute phone consultation. You're going to get an analysis or a strategy session or a roadmap, and really break down and build value around, that phone call in itself, right? Regardless of what you're actually going to try to sell them, that consultation should be of value in itself, and it should take that prospect from where they are and leave them in a better position, whether or not they choose to buy from you. Now, I'll be giving you the exact examples of how to structure this for lead generation later up in the program. When we dive into building out your funnels and all of that kind of stuff, I'll be showing you exactly, right? But for now, we're specifically talking about the offer that you're making to your market when you're actually trying to convert them into paying clients. So I'm going to show you exactly the Godfather offer to generate the leads. But for now, we're talking about the actual service that you're going to be selling, or the product that you're going to be selling. Cool? So let's keep moving. The fourth point is payment options. Now, when your ideal price point, the level at like which it is that most of your customers will buy, is relatively high for your prospects, consider breaking that purchase up into a payment plan of like, 2, 3, or 4 payments, right? So by doing this, you effectively lower the perceived price point in your prospect's mind, and this should also increase your response and your conversion rate. Plus, today money is always more crucial to a prospect's decision to buy than tomorrow's money. So what I mean by that is, like, say for instance, it's a $6,000 service that you're selling, breaking that down into $2,000 this month, $2,000 next month, and then $2,000 the month after that. Like that today money of in their mind, okay, I need to part with $2,000 is way more crucial to them than even that it's going to have to be $6,000, right? In total value and $4,000 in tomorrow's money, so to speak. Okay. So payment options are a great way to do that. The next point 5, is premiums. So these are the free gifts that prospects receive along with the product or service that they're purchasing off you, right? Now, premiums are not to be scoffed at. You might be rolling your eyes and thinking about like late night infomercials that are like, but wait, there's more. You'll also get this free set of steak knives if you order right now. But the reason that premiums are used is because they work, right? Having a hot premium can double or triple your sales. When you start paying attention to like the commercials on television that are in the media that are online or like that are really pushing it hard, you'll realize the ones that really work, like the ones that are advertising with some real force and that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars, they mostly all have premiums attached to them. So why do you think, right? Do you think that they just enjoy burning money and eroding their margins by having a premium? No. It's because it dramatically increases the response to your core offer, right? And a great example of that is of having like a really hot premium is from Sports Illustrated. So in the summer of 1986, Martin Champagne, he was the magazine's marketing manager, right? And he found himself like in the difficult situation where over the last few promotions that he had launched, they all bombed, meaning that they weren't persuading enough people in order to actually part with their money and subscribe to the magazine, which basically, is the worst news that you can ever get as a marketing manager for a magazine, right? So he needed to do something new, something fresh, something that no one had ever seen or heard of before, and really come up with an offer that people couldn't resist because everyone was resisting their current offer. And it was then that he found like the football phone premium. And that was when it was born. And Sports Illustrated ran television ads giving away a football phone as a premium with a yearly subscription to the magazine. Okay? And this premium went to sell 1.6 million subscription for this once hurting publication, right? And here's the quote, right? As well as the sneaker phone that followed its football-shaped predecessor, the magazine sold around 1.6 million new subscribers between 1986 and 1991, thanks in large to that part of the football phone, right? Like that is really the importance of it. But, really what I want to tell you about is that like, of course I had to then market that thing, right? So they were running like aggressive television ads giving away the football phone as like a premium. But I want to give you some examples now of, how you could apply this to your service-based business, because like premiums are a proven way to pull in more sales, but I'm not saying that like if you're a home builder that you want to go out there and start offering your clients a football phone, right? The premium has to be aligned and relevant to the core business and the core offer that you're making. For Sports Illustrated, like that's a football phone. So it's going to get people that are passionate about football, and their magazine subscription is a magazine about sports, so it aligns. So here are some examples of premiums that you could use in a service-based business. So the first one here is if you're a home building company, someone's getting a new home, you could offer them a free 80-inch LED TV. Right? Or a $5,000 furniture and appliance voucher. You might be thinking, well, look, that's a trivial thing, Sabri, in the scheme of someone buying a $300,000, $4,000, $500,000 or $1 million home. You'd be surprised, right? And it's kind of like the thing that they need is a new home, but the thing that they want is that big 80-inch LED TV to put into their lounge room and watch, a football game when they get in there. So that's, a premium that's aligned with, that core offer that they're making. Or it might be like a romantic getaway if you're like a divorce lawyer or you're a counselor trying to counsel somebody through a divorce and help them not get it, having like a travel voucher, right? If you wanted to go down that angle. Or you could have a free $2,000 travel voucher as a premium for completely different reasons if they were getting a divorce, right? At King Kong, in my business, we offer a free $3,500 Crow audit for anyone who signs up as a King Kong client, where if they're just signing up for traffic, we'll give them a full breakdown audit of their website and recommendations and everything that they need to change that we value at $3,500 that you get for free. That's the premium. That's the thing that they might want, right? Attached to it. Well, they do want, because this works very, very well for us. So that's kind of some examples that you can see of like a premium for, what it is that you're offering as a service-based business. Now, the sixth pillar of a Godfather offer is a power guarantee, right? So the stronger your guarantee, the better. The role of the guarantee is to reverse the risk for the prospect and place it on you, the business owner, right? Thus removing that friction before making the sale. So 30-day or 12-month guarantees tend to be the most common, right? However, it's much better to deliver a specific, right? To be very, very specific. And if the guarantee is attached to the performance of what it is that you're selling, you can follow the program. And if you don't lose 10 kilos in your first 180 days, just let us know and we'll refund every cent. Because most people just have like a 30-day or a 12-month money back guarantee, right? But they don't get specific. And if you get specific and you tie it to the end benefit, I found that works a lot better. And it allows you to also make it a conditional guarantee where there are conditions of them actually needing to do the work, right? It's not someone who's signing up and just going, no, I'm not happy, give me my money back. That's not how it works, right? But however, this is an example where we say, if you follow the program, right? They have to follow the program, do the exercises, eat all the food, and you don't lose 10 kilos in the first 180 days, just let us know and we'll refund every cent that you've paid, right? So we're going to be diving though into the exact specifics of guarantees in just a minute. But lastly, the last thing to look at is the seventh and last part of the Godfather offer, which is scarcity. And this thing is really, really important. So offers without scarcity, they don't sell as well because, if you have like a ticking time bomb on your head, you really feel motivated to take action, but it needs to be genuine, right? Otherwise, you're going to erode brand trust with your prospects. Think about it, right? If you don't need to take action on an offer that's being made, when will you take it? And the answer is later. And later equals never, right? So delay is the death of a sale. So scarcity is really important, and examples of scarcity include like putting an expiration date on your offer, countdown clocks, or we only have 7 left at this price, or buy before X to avoid the price hike. We only have so many hours in a day, or employees to service you, so the products are left in the warehouse, whatever it might be. So you can have like, there's only so many hours in a day, we only have so many employees to service you, or there's only so many products left in our warehouse at this insanely crazy price that we're offering you, right? So scarcity has been shown time and time again to dramatically increase the pulling power of offers. I've split tested this thing to the high heavens, and the best marketers use them because they work. Inject scarcity into your offer, and that really tells your prospect that that they need to act, and they need to act fast. So they're the 7 pillars that make up a Godfather offer. Now, once you've mapped out your Godfather offer, you now want to sit aside and just kind of ask yourself, like, what are the objections that a skeptical prospect might have in taking me up on this offer, even though it's absolutely crazy, right? And you want to spend some time thinking about the objections that your prospects will have, and you want to write them down, and you want to jump on sales calls, and you want to find out what are those big objections, right? Because this is where we pre-frame them And then we just obliterate those things, right? And basically what you want to do is you want to think about those three main objections that people are going to have to your offer, and you just write them down. So you just list them out, think about them. Once you've done that, then we want to think about how we can overcome these objections, right? And that's what we do once we've completed that exercise of just writing all three of them, because that moves us to the last step, right? And that is to read your offer and ask yourself, what can I add to this offer to even make it even more compelling? What can I add on and just make it way more irresistible than it currently is? Now, once you've made your offer as irresistible as humanly possible, then make sure that the copy is tightly written. Like, offer copy that surrounds the offer needs to be direct and to the point. There can be no confusion about what the prospect will receive in exchange for their money or their time when they receive it, and why it's going to benefit them. It has to just be nice, clear, cut, short, and concise. That means that you must edit your copy even more ruthlessly edit this thing down more than just normal copy, making sure that everything is just crystal clear and there's nothing that's vague in there at all. I can't stress the importance of really laboring over this offer creation more than I have. I know I've pumped this thing up because once you know what your market wants and you package it all up in the most irresistible offer, everything becomes a lot easier. And once you experience a taste of what a Godfather offer does to your bottom line, you'll never look at it the same way again, and you'll really, really place the importance on it that it deserves. Okay? So let's jump to a topic that we touched on, which is creating a market slaughtering power guarantee. Now, a power guarantee that slaughters your competition and leaves them screaming for mercy because they just don't know how you can have such an outrageous guarantee, right? And here is a simple but devastatingly effective sales strategy that you can really deploy that will dramatically transform your business. And it's about having one of these guarantees, right? And I'm now going to show you how to eradicate all that sales resistance and skepticism that you've previously been faced with through having a power guarantee, right? And this simply kind of approaches, your market and builds trust with them and goodwill, right? While allowing you to also get as much customers as possible and that you know what to do with because you reversed all the risk for them with your guarantee. Now, guarantees are nothing new. And while about everybody's heard of a guarantee, very, very few businesses ever know how to craft one that takes full advantage of its incredible selling power. And that's precisely what I'm going to explain to you now is all about, because everyone they've heard of guarantee, no guarantee, we've got a 30-day money back guarantee, right? But that's not what we're going to be talking about here. I'm going to be taking you by the hand and showing you how to take your ordinary guarantee that you probably have and just pump this thing up on steroids, right? You're going to discover how to soothe even the most skeptical prospects and make your guarantee so compelling that it cripples the competition and really brings them to their knees pleading for mercy, wondering, how is it that you're doing this? And, just waving the white flag. But wait a minute. Am I hearing from you that you're saying that you don't already have a guarantee? Are you trying to tell me that you thought that we could just have those 7 parts of the Godfather offer framework and that your prospects, we just tell them how great you are and that they will just line up and throw money at you? Well, unfortunately, that is not how this thing works. So before I get to work, let me address some of the biggest concerns around having a guarantee. Because, by the end of this, you're going to have a guarantee, right? And I'm going to really address what your inner most skeptical and pessimist person on that shoulder might be whispering in your ear right now. I don't want to have a guarantee, right? It's inconvenient for me, right? I don't want to burden some of that risk. Can't I just sell what I got and enough people are going to buy, listen, right? If you're not willing to guarantee your products and services in some way, shape, or form, then why should any of your prospects trust you? Stop and think about that just for a moment, right? If you're not willing to guarantee any element of the services that you sell, why on earth should anybody trust you with their hard-earned money? Like, how are you different from all the other companies that they've done business with, right? That they've tried their solution that they promised would give them the outcome, only to be left with empty promises and disappointment, right? You need to realize that your prospect has been let down, misled, and downright lied to by other businesses, right? They're skeptical, highly skeptical. And if you're not willing to offer a guarantee for your product or service, then how can you possibly put those fears to bed that you're not like everybody else, right? Think about this. If you don't have a guarantee, you're literally placing all of the risk of your prospect's purchase on them and no risk on you. What does that say about your business, right? If you're not really willing to burden any of those things for them, and if you're really planning on growing and scaling your business, it means that the majority of the advertising that you're going to be doing is to that cold traffic, that blue ocean that we spoke about. That is people who do not know, like, or trust you. And these people, they're people that are just online. And they've either been doing research or they haven't been doing research, or they've seen one of your Facebook or Instagram ads or whatever it might be, right? And essentially, you're asking a complete stranger to part with their hard-earned money for a product or service that they don't even know is going to solve their problem, right? Because they've already been told this before. You're not the first person to tell them that you can help them. So a powerful guarantee reverses that risk and it reduces the friction for someone to buy. And you want to lead with a Godfather strategy, right? With a Godfather offer, which is to make them an offer that they can't refuse. And after you've done that, that's not enough in itself. Then you want to back that up, right, with a you can't lose guarantee and reverse all the risk. And that just makes that offer infinitely more compelling and just sucks people into them like flies to a light, right? If you're confident with what you're selling, then why wouldn't you make it as easy as possible for as many people to buy your product or services? Right? Because to do otherwise just doesn't make any sense. If you're really confident, you know that it's going to help a lot of people, then why don't you make it as irresistible as possible by having a strong guarantee and reversing that risk to get as many people on board to experience those benefits as possible? Right? And if you're still not quite on the same page and you think that I've lost my marbles, let me just ask you this question. What would you do if a customer bought from you, right? And then for one reason or another, they weren't satisfied with what they bought off you? How would you make that right for them? Right? Would you just say, oh, look, bad luck, dude. That's just what it is. Or would you say, look, you've bought it and I want to help you get the solution to what you want, right? Would you work with them to ensure that they are happy? Or would you say no, it's your problem? Probably not, right? You'd probably work with them to ensure that they're happy and even probably help them with some of the mechanics of it to even add more equity to your brand by really helping them get to the solution that they want, right? And the answer to that question should be obvious, right? However, if it's not, let me make something brutally clear and let me bring something to your attention that you might not be aware of. By law in most countries, if someone buys from your business and something is defective or it doesn't perform as advertised or could be perceived as not being truthfully advertised, the consumer is entitled to compensation with either a repair or replace goods or a part of them. Resupply or fixing a problem with a service, and in Australia, that's enforced by the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, the ACCC. So, right, and in every country, you typically have your version of this. So, what that means is that you already have a guarantee whether you like it or not. It's just built into everything that's sold in the country that you live in. So, if you already have like a guarantee, right, then why not advertise it? Why not use it to your advantage to reduce buyer friction and increase the selling power of all of your offers? Right? A power guarantee can triple sales, right? And they're called up on less than 5% of the time. So if you do the math, you tell me whether or not you think it's going to be like worth it for your business, right? That's just like, you just got to just have a look at the numbers and see if you think it's going to be a calculated play to use this front and center of all your marketing and potentially double, if not triple your sales, and to only have 5% of people ever call you up on it, right? And what we've found is from working with thousands of clients in hundreds of different niches, that this thing can literally double your sales from just adding this element to your offer. Right? So the 7 steps to creating a power guarantee, right? Let's get busy here. So it's a step-by-step method for creating a power guarantee or pumping up an existing one that you may have and really using it to supercharge your marketing efforts. So the first one is studying the competition. And the reason that this is important is obviously 1, to get ideas, but 2, to also see, how your guarantee is really going to basically stack up to what other people are communicating in the marketplace. So the way that you do this is just do a simple Google search for other businesses in your industry and just put the word guarantee in there. And then take it one step further and have someone call and ask about their guarantee, or you call and ask about their guarantee. And look, basically what you want to do is don't just get tied into your industry. Look outside of your industry or outside of your geography for solid guarantees, and then write them down or copy and paste them or put them in your swipe file. Do whatever you need to do, but go deep in your search. Find out like what trends do you see? Do many companies in your industry ever offer guarantees? What types of guarantees did you find? Did you find any specific performance related guarantees? Or were they more common like a lackluster satisfaction guarantee type? And did they dictate any of the terms of their guarantees? Have a look at those things, collate them, compare them. The second thing is to really laser in on your strengths, right? So what area of your business is like the strongest point for you? Do you get results really quickly? Do you have exceptional craftsmanship? Do you do very fast installations, or are you great at maintenance, or do your products or services produce consistently outstanding results? Right? Or do you save your customers like money or time? Right? And whatever it is, you basically want to really focus in on that, right? So like always sell the thing that you do better than your competition and craft the guarantee around that. So you're not going to have problems delivering on that thing, right? If you provide outstanding results, then have a performance guarantee built in there, right? 3 is that you need to be specific. Think about the specific results that your customer and your client wants, or the problem that they're trying to solve when they're buying your products or services. Your guarantee should be specific, not some vague notion of like satisfaction or your satisfaction guaranteed or any of that kind of crap. It's just far too broad, right? We need to make it specific, and it needs to be a specific promise. And then we need to tell, your prospects that they must experience the benefits that you're promising, otherwise that they don't owe you a red cent, right? Or you'll give them all their money back, right? What good things happen when a client uses your product or services, right? So you want to think about that. Like, what are the good things that happen? Do they have better sleep? Do they have more money? Do they lose weight? Do they reduce their stress, right? Write down whatever the answer is in detail and then guarantee some component of that outcome or all of that outcome, right? Do not simply guarantee satisfaction. Guarantee what it is in detail, what the satisfaction will look like, what your customer will receive, and then we want to make that measurable. 4, choose a payback. As unlikely as it is that you'll be making good on your guarantee, because remember, like I said, fewer than 5% of customers will ever take you up on it. but you want to make sure that you create an attractive payback in case a customer is unsatisfied. And ideally, it won't cost you much, but it will have like high perceived value and alleviate and remove the perceived risk around the purchase. Your guarantee should exceed customer expectations and be memorable, and it should wow them. 5, test, measure, and refine. It's vitally important that you know how well your guarantee is performing before you make it a core element to your offer. So you don't just run out and start offering this thing like crazy. You really need to figure out like how effective it is, right? And the way that you do that is you can include it on like some of your landing pages and not others. Or you can use different advertising channels, for instance, have all the message on Google, for instance, different to Facebook or to YouTube or Instagram, and then track the results, test, measure, and refine it until it is really like power packed and you know that it's pulling in sales. And you want to pinpoint how much sales have grown over the same period last year or the period before that you had a guarantee, or split testing, the certain like sell rate or conversion rate that you're having, since rolling it out. And you want to really be sure to test at least 2 combinations of your guarantee to find out the one that pulls in the most sales. 6, put it front and center. Once you've tested and you've measured and you've refined your guarantee and found a winner that's really just pulling its head off, put your guarantee in writing and place it front and center of all your marketing and your public relations, and put it on your website, on your landing pages, put it in your proposals, your ads, your brochures, and anywhere that a customer will see it, right? An example is like, how we use it on ours, Google, guaranteed Google rankings in 90 days, or we work for free. Like that is such a compelling offer that it's actually the headline that we use on this landing page. And lastly, number 7, give your guarantee a name. Like, while this isn't 100% mandatory, giving your guarantee like a unique name, it really dramatizes and it heightens the impact, and it's something that you can have a lot of fun with. And I've included a list of really good guarantee names in the resources section for you to use, model, and get inspiration from. So the resources that you'll be using here is the market slaughtering power guarantees, where I list out everything, all of the 7 points in there. We've got some great names for you to model for your guarantee. You've also got your features and benefits and all that list that you can fill out and document and do it. And that pretty much brings us to the end of really the Godfather strategy, and just forming something that is just going to cut through your market like a hot knife to butter in terms of getting the most cut through for your offers and ensuring that you are converting as many prospects into high paying customers as possible, right? So the action items for this module is you need to create your feature list, write down every single feature that your product or service includes, then write the corresponding benefit to those features. And as I said, think of as many benefits for each feature as you can possibly can. Exhaust this list as much as possible. Then reduce your offer to writing and make it that 1 paragraph, and really juice it up. Make it as irresistible as possible. And once you've done that, and only once you've done that, then you put the cherry on top by offering a power guarantee. That just removes all the risk associated with someone buying off you, and really just pumps that whole Godfather offer up on steroids and really, really makes it sing. So that's the end of this module. Go ahead, do that stuff, get to work, and I will see you in the next one.